maybe the plan for Friday night yet?
Yeah, not fully. We're going to get through practice today, see where we're at. I do think the intent is to still play football a little bit with our starters. How much remains to be seen. That'll kind of be determined over the next day or two. But they definitely will be, most of those guys will play, and then there'll be a handful of select guys that we won't. But got to play a little more football.
Kelly, what is the plan with Legarius? Is there any hope that he can start working his way, clear the physical this week, or what's the schedule looking for him?
Yeah, there's some hope that's the case. Maybe we'll see where he's at tomorrow. I think one more time, and then there's a chance that happens pretty soon. But I'm refraining from any definitive statements on it for the moment. But I'm hopeful that happens soon.
It seemed like your scuffle yesterday didn't match up with the sins that you've been preaching, the brotherhood stuff that you've been preaching. What's your take on what unfolded there?
Yeah, I think it was a training camp push and shove and a little bit of loud barking, and that was pretty much it. For me, it's late August, and we're ready to go play some real football, I think. And I think that's pretty standard back and forth in this point of training camp. So I didn't think too much of it. Guys got a little hot. Tempers flared, and we moved on. So I don't.
There's a red jersey on the quarterback not to know that he's not to be touched, not just in a play, but in a situation like that?
Oh, of course, you don't want the quarterback being touched. The flip side of it is the quarterback enters willingly into the fray like that, then that's on him as well. So he's got to not do that and enter himself into that spot. But yeah, we don't want a red jersey getting touched. So that's what it is.
So when Jeff takes hands to his face in that moment, there are no consequences in that moment.
Yeah.
Is that special privileges for Jeff, or
No.
does that tell the defense anybody can take hands to Cam's face?
No, that's not at all. I mean, anything that we do when it comes to those types of things and conversations I've had with those guys are internal. I don't need to share any of them. But yeah, I think there's not really much more to add than that.
What would it take for you to discipline Jeff on the field and throw him off? You didn't last summer in a much more serious incident.
Yeah.
That seemed worthy of something in the moment to some of us. Seems
Sure.
like he has free rein.
That's not accurate at all. Look, I don't know where this throwing out of practice thing came from. It's pretty bothersome, to be honest with you. I've worked in the league for 16 years with a lot of really good head coaches, and I've never seen a player thrown out of a training camp practice for some pushing and shoving and some cuss words. So it doesn't register to me the same way. I don't know what it's like been before here or anything like that, but I've coached a long time, and I've been around training camp since I was 15 years old, and the amount of players I've seen thrown out of a practice is I can't even remember one that ever happened. So I don't know where that comes from. I don't know what that desire to see that happen comes from. I don't understand it. But Jeff he left the practice field after that play, just like we'd ask all our assistant coaches, if tempers get hot, take the guy off the field and cool him down, and practice ended 2 plays later. So I don't understand all that. But I think all my conversations with Jeff and the players involved, and now that those are internal. And
Back to Snead for a minute.
Yeah.
You talked all along about how he has a plan and you guys are counting on him. Are you planning on him being in the lineup week 1 in Denver?
We'll see. I don't have any definitive timelines that I can pin that to. We're going to find out. A lot of that, even the return to practice part, as you've seen with veterans that we've had in with Quandre and now Lloyd working back in, there's a health standpoint where you're able to return to practice, and then there's the actual playing of football and the shape that you have to be in to go participate in a 70-play NFL game.
What kind of status do you expect him to have, having been out for so long? It's been probably 10 months.
Yeah, I mean, he's working to get back. He's working to get back in shape. I mean, he's been running and working every day here. It's not like he hasn't done anything. But the playing football part is the next step, and you have to be in that type of shape to go play in an NFL game, and we're working to get there.
Brian, I don't think that Cam's been touched in either of the first 2 games. What is your offensive line doing well right now?
Well, the preseason I take with a grain of salt as far as what that means for future performance and all that. But it's been good. I mean, we've done a good job up front. Those guys have played well. We've blocked well in the run game. The pockets have been not very disrupted. I mean, we've had chances to throw, and that really goes for all 3 groups. I mean, there hasn't been a ton of pressure that we've given up from the offensive line perspective, which is good to see. So I think we're improving. I don't think it necessarily is a indictment, good or bad, on what our performance will be, but the things that we want to see from a performance perspective has shown up in the games.
What do you tell the guys
running back position, does Julius's place on this team take on added meaning with Khalil's inexperience
Yeah.
and Tajay's injury?
Certainly does. I mean, Julius has proven himself to be a good runner and a good protector, and a viable special teams player. So his role certainly will pick up, and it puts him in a really advantageous position to show for himself and show that he's willing or deserving of a spot on the roster. And he's had a nice camp. He's had some good preseason games. And then young backs always have learning curves too, particularly in protection. And that process is ongoing for Khalil. So I'm glad we have Julius at the moment.
What do you tell all those guys that are, still battling for that spot and this is their one last shot to kind of make their case?
Yeah, I mean, it's still part of the totality of an evaluation, right? It's not one game isn't necessarily going to make or break a player because we have multiple practices and games to go off of, but it is their last opportunity. It's the one last shot they have. We got one more day in pads here, and we got one more game this week, and that's it. And the roster gets cut the next couple of days after that. So it is their one last chance to show well for themselves, and not just for us, for the rest of the league. Where there's a lot of opportunity out there, and that's part of what my message is to them too. Is you're trying to put your resume on tape for whatever comes next, because we can only keep 53 guys and 16 on the practice squad. So it is a big final push for some guys trying to make a name for themselves, whether it's here or somewhere else.
So, with so many young guys on this roster, what percentage would you say that you're still trying to figure out down the stretch here?
You get to this point, there's a lot of things that are pretty concrete, and there's a handful of spots that are up for competition, especially when you're talking about your depth spots and your the swing tackle spot, the running back spot, the safety spots. There's opportunity. That back end of the receiving room, that spot 6 and 7. Those things are all being competed for, and I think that's good and healthy, and that's how you build your depth.
I think it's fair to assume that none of the backups on this team are safe. You guys are going to utilize the waiver wire, signings, all of that. Is there a point of diminishing returns if you add a bunch of guys who haven't been around the culture, around the scheme 2 weeks before the first game, just because you think they could be marginally better?
Yeah, I think that's part of the balance of when you have that opportunity to claim players. You don't just claim a player to claim one. You got to feel like it's a real talent upgrade for an opportunity to help your team, and you don't just dismiss guys because we've also poured a lot of work into these players that have been here for the better part of 6 months. So there's a balance. I mean, there's definitely can you find better players and can they help your team improve from even a depth perspective? Great. But there's also some benefit to having guys that have been in and around your system and know what you want from them too. So that's the fine line you walk at this time of year. And again, having the number one waiver claim allows us to be aggressive if we choose to be. And if there's players that we think can help us, I think that's certainly going to be the case. So I think it is. There's a fine line to that, and there is a balance to how much you do in that period of time. But if there's players that can help us, great.
More guys, you've talked a lot about the culture shift you've been going for this offseason. Do you have a tangible thing you can point to? This does feel different now. This culture has changed in a way.
Yeah, I think there's probably quite a few I could point to. One of them that I just felt on the trip. It was probably 8 o'clock at night. We're in a hotel, and I'm down in the little area where the meal room is and our meeting rooms are and stuff, and it's about 8:30, and I walk into the cafeteria and there's about 20 guys in there playing cards, and I walk into one of the film rooms, there's about another probably 8 to 10 guys in there watching film, having conversations, and I think their buy-in to what we're asking of them from a scheme perspective and the connection that those guys have made, I think that was really cool to see. That's what I was hoping to see a lot of in the trip, and that was sort of every night that went on. There was some version of a bunch of guys around talking about football, watching tape, spending time together. That stuff I think was, I think that's what we were after.
Does Chim need more live reps, punt returning, in order for you to know what he can do, or you know what he can do at this point?
Yeah, I think we got a pretty good feel for what all those returners can do. I think some opportunities to get another 1 or 2 in the game. He's got some kick return reps live. So we'll see. That could be on the table this week, potentially. But, yeah, I think those guys have all done a good job in practice. I mean, we got a pretty good look at those guys in the joint practices as well. So we'll see how the live reps shake out, but it would never be a bad thing.
Would
Last one.
What have you seen defensively, Brian, in terms of the kind of the scheme of power run that you guys want to use with the big guys? Have you seen enough results to see, to know if there's any improvement so far?
Yeah, I've seen our rush lanes have been way more disciplined. It's shown up more like in the practices when you see that stuff, especially in the joint practices, but not as many free lanes, not as clean of a pocket for the quarterbacks to operate in. We'll see when we get to the games what it really looks like. And when we're all in there, rushing with all the pressure packages on top of it. So, yeah, I've seen improvement from that regard from what we're looking for. And again, just like the offensive line, sort of remains to be seen what it actually looks like when we play for real. But I'm happy with the progress. The only person that's new out is Rid. He's got a little soreness, and we're going to hold him today, Ridley.